Okay, I think I've got this situated enough that you'll be able to see what I'm doing. So I have a feeling probably what's going to happen while I put this package in is a friend of mine, Ryan, who also has bees. I went and got some bees for him today, and he's going to stop by and get his. So if you hear a voice in the background, that's probably Ryan. He's going to come back and see what I'm doing so he can get his bees. All right, so I'll try and narrate this as best I can. Like I said, this is the package of bees. And I'm just going to check to make sure it's still in the frame. Looks like it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this can out. And like I said, this can is full of sugar water, and that's what the bees are consuming. This is their food while they're on a journey um, here from wherever they came from. Like I said, it's probably down south somewhere where it's much warmer and they don't get the winter like we do up here in Pennsylvania. So this can be a little challenging to get this out because there's a little lip on the edge of the can. If you ask your mom to show you a can, you can run your fingers along the edge of it and you'll see how it's kind of tough to pick up this can by the lip, particularly when you're wearing gloves. So I have to get this tool just right and try to lift it out. So, all right, so I got a hold of it, and so I'm going to lift this out. And as soon as I lift this out, there's bees that are, let's see if I can turn the package here, and you'll see that there's some bees kind of hanging on to the bottom because they're drinking that sugar water. So I'm going to take this out, and really quickly I'm going to put the cover back on so that the bees don't come out. They're going to come out eventually, but I don't want them all to come out right now until I take the queen out. So I'm going to shake the can here a little bit to try to shake them off, and this is going to be really quick. All right, that was pretty quick. Only 3 escaped, and there you can see a couple bees on the bottom, and there's just a few holes right here that the bees will eventually, they'll all take turns and they'll go up there and they'll drink sugar water from there. So I'm going to set this aside for now. Now what I want to do is I want to take the queen out, which means I have to undo this strap. This strap is stapled down. So I'm just going to take a little pry bar and I am going to pry this up. I'm going to keep this cover on so that the bees don't come out. I don't want them to come out yet. And this can be a little tough sometimes because that staple is really in there. So usually what I end up having to do is cut the strap because I can't get the staple up, which is okay because I don't need the staple. I just need the strap. All right, so it's not going to come out. So I have a knife, and here's some bees already starting to get out. I'm going to cut the strap just like that. And I'm going to shake this because, like I said, the queen, she's in a cage and all these bees are surrounding her, and I don't want all these bees to come out right now. So I'm going to shake it. I'm going to take it out real quick. Okay, so this is the queen cage, and there's bees around it because the bees are trying to get to the queen. The queen she's the boss in the hive, and that's why the bees want to get to her. And what we have here is at the end of this, what they call a queen cage, is taffy, and it's like taffy that you get at the candy store, and that taffy is designed so that the queen and some of her nurse bees that are in here. Now I'm going to tap this so you can see, and you'll see the dot on the back of the queen as well. So there's the queen. She's really long. You can see the dot on her back there. Try to move these bees out of the way. So she has some nurse bees in here, and their job is to kind of tend to her. But unfortunately, sometimes what happens is those nurse bees die, because they don't have access to the sugar water, and that's what has happened here. There's some bees in there, so I've got to kind of clear them out so that the queen can start eating through this taffy. And then what I'm going to do here on the end is I'm going to pop this little cork out, and then you can see there's the taffy that's inside there. So bees will eat this direction, the queen will eat this direction, and they'll chew a hole through that so that the bee or the queen can gradually come into the hive. So it looks like some of the nurse bees have been eating away at that taffy, and some have died, and they're blocking the way. So hopefully the queen will be able to get out. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this aside right now, and I am going to put this in between two of the frames here. I'm going to put it in like this so that the queen has air. I don't want to put it this way because then she doesn't have any air. I'm going to put it like this, and then she's going to eat taffy that direction. The other bees that I'm going to put in the hive are going to eat this direction. They'll chew a hole. That hole will get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then eventually the queen can walk out and she'll go into the hive, and she will hopefully start laying eggs. So what I need to do is I need to move these frames over so that I can press the queen cage into the wax so it stays put. And I hate to do this, but these nurse bees that are dead, I just want to make sure that the queen can get through. So there you can see the queen. You can see her fluorescent yellow dot on her back, and that helps me find her easily when she's in the hive. So I'm going to take a frame out. I'm going to press this into place, and I'm able to do that because the wax is soft because it's warm outside. So I'm going to replace this frame, and this can be a little tough to do because there's not a lot of room in here. I may have to end up taking a frame out here on the end so that I can press this in place and then replace that frame at the end, or after I take the queen cage out. Once the queen comes out into the hive, I don't need this queen cage in here anymore. I can take it out because it's empty and she doesn't need it. So I'm pressing this into the frame. I'm pressing the other frame into it as well to hold it into place. I'm going to move these frames over, and hopefully I have enough room that I can put this frame back in, and I can. So this is what you have. You have the queen. She's in that cage. She's going to start eating away at the taffy from one end. The other bees will eat at the other, and she's fixed in place there in the wax. She's not going anywhere. And because this queen has traveled with these other bees, they are going to be attracted to her right away because they know her scent. She gives off a certain scent, and I'm going to dump these bees into this hive, and they will be immediately attracted to the queen. They're going to work to try to get her out of that cage so that the queen can get out and start laying eggs and start populating this hive. A queen can lay hundreds of eggs a day, and you need that in a hive because worker bees only live about 4 to 6 weeks. So you always need a source of new bees constantly coming into the hive and tending to new bees, as well as going out to forage for nectar and pollen from flowers and trees and things like that, because bees will fly 4 to 5 miles to find nectar and pollen, and they put a lot of mileage on those wings, and unfortunately that's why bees only live about 4 to 6 weeks because they just wear out and they die. So that's just nature. That's how it is, and that's why the queen needs to constantly make new bees so that there's always bees replacing bees that are dying. So we're at the point where I'm going to put this in, and once I take this cover off, the bees are really going to come out, and they're not angry or anything like that. They've just been in this box for a while, so they want to get out. They want to get to their queen, and if all goes well, I'll be able to dump them into this box. They'll stay in the box. A few will fly around like you see now, and they won't sting me or anything like that, hopefully. So as soon as I take this cover off, these bees are going to come out because they're tired of being in there. It's kind of like being in a car for a long ride. You want to get out. So let me pause this for a minute, and I will dump these bees out.